How many people remember that Barack Obama had a book called The Audacity of Hope? Remember that book? I didn't read it. I bought it, but I didn't read it. I may have read one chapter. I'm thinking about writing a book. It's called The Audacity of Liberals. Thoughts of a Free Black Man. Author of the New York Times bestseller, Kiss My Ass, Cut the Check. The audacity of liberals, guys, because this is what I'm talking about. Liberals have a way of trying to tell us what we think about shit. Liberals have a way of trying to tell black people their opinions, what our opinions should be. And in a white-dominated country, you end up being sort of captive to the whims and the wills of the dominant society because they control the media, they control the Hollywood, they control the jobs, they control investments, they control who's going to war, who's not. I mean, really, it's not a black person in America that controls any of these decisions. We're not the group that controls what happens. We're also not the group that decides if they're going to burn down a city, really. If they're going to firebomb an apartment building like they did in Philadelphia. You guys know about that? Like, that wasn't 1922. Like, the cops literally blew up, like, buildings with people in them. Or when they burnt out Adam Kokesh, whatever his name was, remember that guy? Like, white people decided to do that. You may not have personally decided, but people that look like you, who go to church like you, who eat what you eat, who vote like you vote, they decided that. People from your group decided that. Like, we come from a whole different, like, mentality of what's happening. Things happen to black people. That's all that happens. That's America. Things happen to us. We don't happen to it. So the narrative always is switched. Like, what are black people doing when black people are largely just responding to what white people are doing? Which brings me to the main focus of this show. I decided if I have any last remnants of stupid progressives and stupid liberals who are implicit or explicitly biased, lurking about, which I know I do because lately they've been popping up again, I figure I'd just go ahead and show them the exit sign. Yeah, I figure I'd go ahead and direct them the fuck out because it's way past time, man. It's way overdue. They have the audacity to try to tell us what we think. They have the audacity to tell me who I should support, who I shouldn't support. As if we have anything in common as far as our life experiences. How we were raised, what we saw, what we were told. My mom sat on buses in the back. My dad couldn't get into union jobs he wanted to get into. Those people raised me. That's where I come from. And here I got you with your Scooby-Doo van, or here I got you with your weirdo, fake pseudo-activism, trying to tell people from a truly activism background, from a true background of struggle historically in this country, what the fuck I should ride for, and if I'm good or bad, as if we the same, as if we have the same experiences. It's the audacity of progressives, the audacity of liberals, the audacity of whiteness in America that you would do some shit like that. I would never even think it. It just, so every once in a while I gotta like pull the brake, right? Cause it gets so like, it's like confusing, like how the hell, I try to imagine going to like Korea and being around a bunch of Koreans, right? Because that's what you're doing when you go into a black guy's timeline or go into a black guy's video or emailing a black person or writing him a letter, telling him how to think, or you're DMing me about how to think, how I should think, and all the things I need to consider. And I equate it to like going to Korea and being around a bunch of Koreans in their own house and trying to tell them, hey, why don't you do this instead? Hey, the whole way that you look at the life, the way that you feel about this, it's wrong. Because I'm Tim Black. I'm a black guy. I know better. I know better than you do about how you feel about shit. That is liberals. In a nutshell. In a fucking nutshell. And you know what's even worse than that, guys? And this is what I've been thinking about. I was like, whoa, Mrs. Black, I gotta talk about this because it's on my head. I gotta talk about it. Black people are falling for the trap. And I seen them. I seen these black people in the progressive circles all around who don't even know who the hell they are. They don't even know what they like. They don't even know what they want. They so trapped. They are prisoners in this white liberal bullshit. They don't even, come on, man, you can't honestly really think Joe Biden was a good choice. Like, there are no black, hold on a second. I'm not going to speak for all black people because it's some different people out here. But by and large, if you come from a middle class, a lower middle class, working class, hurting class, poor black background, you ain't never looked at Joe Biden like, ooh, that's our guy. Come on, man. That shit impossible. So the ones that are caping for Joe Biden and supporting Joe Biden, just like the ones that supported Hillary Clinton and were caping for Hillary, those people are not even themselves. I mean, how could you be? Your children are super predators. You were a super predator to them. They locked up your cousins and threw away the keys and let white kids go free. They plotted to destroy your neighborhoods and did so. They scapegoated you for everything wrong in America, even though they set up the conditions in which made your demise possible. And then blamed you for it. And then kept it going. And then blamed you for it. And you voted for that? Now, you didn't vote for that. You're a captive. You're a prisoner. You're a prisoner of war. You just don't know it. You're behind enemy lines. You don't have your own thoughts. It's worse. You're in your own head. You don't even have your own thoughts. You know how long it takes you to detox and get away from liberals and white progressives and all this shit, and conservatives too. I'm not even wasting my time on them right now. But to get away from this way they see the world and realize, motherfucker, that's not the way you see the world. That ain't never been your world. It's never been your thoughts. We know how hard it is to be black in America because we're black in America. No matter how nice a white person is, they'll never really understand that shit. So they never could really understand why you don't fuck with Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton. How could you if you grew up in the 90s? How could you really? So black white people, check this out. And I know some white people watch the show, and that's cool. Black people, please tap a white person and tell them. We never really liked those mofos. If you never really liked Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden, put a 1 in the chat. Come on now. These people that say they like Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton, these people are controlled by the system. They have to say it. They have no choice. They say it because it's a career move. They say it to salvage their careers. They say it because they don't control their destinies. They have to say it. It's like working at a restaurant and having to tell them the menu items and how great the soup is. Like, they don't have their own agency. They have no independence. They are relying. Look, just because somebody has we confuse people with money with freedom. We confuse freedom with money all the time in America. Just because somebody has money doesn't mean they have freedom. In fact, some people will sell their own freedom. A lot of us sell our freedom, right? Unless you're incarcerated, then they've taken your freedom. But some of us are willfully selling our freedom to white folks, to political parties, to a white boss, or a white power structure, or whatever the fuck, right? Right? White people, you doing it too, right? Aren't you doing that? Aren't you doing that? Do you even know what you really think about anything? Do you? When you black, imagine adding in adding the further complicated by adding in race, being a lower class a person that has been labeled and stereotyped and disenfranchised systemically by your country. Like, add that on top of that feeling. Because I know a lot of my white people, they know what I'm talking about. Was like, do you really know who you are? Really know what you want to do? But then add in the stigma that's forced on us by society about being black in America. Your head would explode, right? It would just go crazy. So, I don't know, man, I was just thinking about it because there've been a couple of things that have come up that really made me lose my, like, damn, I gotta talk about this now. I'm not a psychiatrist, or a psychologist, but I've been black a long time. And I've seen a lot of shit, and I worked in a lot of places. And the whole time I was doing it, I was black. I work with liberals that are like, yo, Tim Black, we'll give you we're gonna have Jerry lock up the stock room and do the inventory, oversee the inventory. I'm like, okay. We want you to actually do the inventory, but make sure that Jerry gets the documentation and the numbers, and he's gonna check in. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why is Jerry? I'm like, so I'm like, damn, what's up? Now, Dan was a cool white boy from New Orleans. And so I'm like, damn, what's up with them making Jerry look over my shit? He's like, well, now this is a tech company, right? Silicon Valley-based tech company. A lot of startup tech firms, you may not know this, because only like 2% of those jobs go to black people. And it was like a staff of like 400, and there were like 3 black people there. And I was like low level, like support, like help desk support / inventory / everything, right? So it's like 3 niggas in the whole place. Some of y'all I still know some of them on Facebook. This is real life experiences. Scooby-Doo Van doesn't have these experiences. So I said, damn, man, what's up with this, man? And I felt connected to him because he had just been through Katrina. For some reason, I felt connected to Dan because Dan had been through struggle. So now I relate to Dan, even though he's white, but I relate to him because I know if he lived in New Orleans, he lived around some struggle. He told me he lived in a ward or a parish or something. I'm from D.C., I don't really know what that is. But I knew it was something black related. There's a lot of black people in New Orleans. And then he lost all his shit and came to D.C., right? But what you got to know is that these Silicon Valley tech groups, firms, they all know each other. It's like you jump from tech startup to tech startup till you hit it big, till you get like a Facebook or a LinkedIn or a Yelp or a Google. They all recycled. They all know each other. So Dan was like, Tim, it's not because... I said, Dan, this is fucked up, man. Bruh. Feels a little racist. Got this white guy checking over my shit. He's not going to do any work. He's just making sure that I'm not doing some work. You know what I'm saying? He's like, well, that's one way to look at it, Tim, but, man, basically, I think it's because you're an unknown entity. Unknown entity. I'm black. Yeah, that's right, I'm black. How could I be a known entity? I didn't go to school with you motherfuckers. I'm only here because I met a placement agency and I have a relationship with them who kind of snuck me in under the radar. Hence, I'm one of 3 black people in a 400-person firm. Like, you literally could be like, yo, the black guy with the lazy eye, they know who the fuck you talk about because there are no other black guys. It's like one black guy who's like a manager, something, program, something, and then a black woman who does something else totally different, like phones or some shit. That's it. So you don't even got to like know our names and know you met Tim. Okay. Or the fat Tim. Whatever. Because, yeah, that's how bad it is. So I was like, wow, man, so I have these people all came from previous, they're like, one thing is, well, you know anybody that was working on Stardust? Some app that came out that didn't quite, got a lot of money, a lot of venture capital money. Venture capital money was infused into it. And then those people disband and they go work somewhere else. They go to WebMD or they go to some other AOL. or they go to this thing. Like, these people all know each other. They're all connected, and you're disconnected. That's the black experience, even when you get into these places. And like I said, we're only 2% of these new tech jobs. 2. Black people, 2%. But how do you know what you really feel, what you really think, when you're trying to survive in an environment where nobody looks like you, nobody has your background? I'm here making this guy Dan my soul brother just because I got to have somebody to kick it with, to kind of decompress while I'm there. I can't just wait to get home and talk to Mrs. Black or phone one of my homies, my real dudes like I grew up with. I got to still be able to exist and deal with the little petty shit that happens daily. And not let it get me fired. Don't let me really get black up in here, because then that's really going to be a problem. Because you know, you ain't allowed to get upset if you black. Everybody gets scared when that happens. My favorite part was when my manager, I wanted to talk to my manager about something one time, right? She had a black boyfriend. She later married him. But this was after I left the job. And like there was something going on at the job. I forget exactly what it was, but it was something about the job itself. And I was like, hey, Heather, can I talk to you? She was like, oh, okay, sure. You want to step outside? I'm like, yeah, let's step outside. We go outside to talk. And Heather's like, well, Tim, let me tell you first of all, I really like Jimmy. And so I don't want this to be weird. Like, she was kind of a full-figured white woman who likes black guys. So I'm like, oh, you think I wouldn't talk to you, like hit on you or something, bitch? Like that's what's going on here? No, fuck no. I'm happy. I'm good. No, this is about my money. My money. Not your honey. Not you, Snow Bunny. We talking about my money for me and my family and my kids. I'm trying to get us out of Capitol Heights. It's the hood. And I want to make sure that my kids live. So I'm not going to be able to go to where white people live, but I want to go somewhere that's a little less shooting. I like it. It's very affordable where I stay. But I'm willing to trade a little bit of the affordability for a little bit more safety. And that's all black people end up doing. We trade one thing for the other thing in order to do a thing. And what really crystallized all this for me, guys, what really got this for me, I always watch the live stream by Irony. And it is about Kevin Samuels. And it's not about Kevin Samuels, but that's the title if you want to go check it out. I would highly recommend this live stream. He made a couple of statements in that live stream, guys, that are so amazing. I got a couple quotes. Here goes the first quote. In order to get rich, if you're black, in order to get rich, you have to be willing. And he didn't even, hold up. I don't even want to say if it's about black people or not. Though I think it is, but he didn't say that in the quote. He said, in order to get rich, you have to be willing to treat black people like garbage. In order to get rich, you got to be willing to treat black people like garbage. I think he's talking to me. Because that's been my existence. I mean, really, the whole point of a black leftist and a black progressives in media and independent media is to shit on black people so white people don't have to do it. That's the whole purpose. Folks, I've realized this. Why do you think I left? My whole purpose was to go out to Joy Reid and say things that the white people couldn't say because they would be called racist. My whole job was to go at Clyburn, which I'm very happy to do. But it sort of became like Chappelle thing where Are you going after him because you want to go after him? Or are you going after him because you get hits? And are you going after him because you know white people want you to go after him? Why are you going after him? Now, we know Clapper has a lot of issues, and so does Joy Reid, so does, but so do a lot of white people. Why aren't you going after any of the white people that you can't stand? Well, we know. Well, Clapper is a very, very unusual, like, he's over the top horrible. So he's not a good example, but you get what I'm saying? Like, Donna Brazile. My whole purpose is to go after Donna Brazile. And once I didn't do it the way they wanted me to go after him, because I did not destroy this poor black woman from Alabama, whose parents were sharecroppers, who was always doing the bidding of white people. No shitting on Donna Brazile, but that's all she's ever done is the bidding of Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party. That's all she's ever done. Even when Donna Brazile was running, or the chair, the DNC chair, motherfucker, she's elected. She's still reporting to a whole bunch of white people who can yank her at any time. She's got money and prestige or notoriety, but she doesn't really have power. She proved that when Hillary Clinton was funding the DNC, and they just took all the money, had all the purse strings, and she basically had a title and no control over anything. And that's how 2016 occurred. I had Donna Brazile on the show, and I asked her about all types of things. I even put the questions to my 10 Black Wolfpack members, like, hey, come on with questions. I reached out to other independent media folks and got them to give me questions to ask her, because this was a big interview. No one in independent media, except for like someone from TYT, had ever interviewed Donna Brazile. So I got questions from people like Lee Camp. And when I interviewed Donna Brazile, people got mad at me because they said I gave her a pass when the questions weren't even written by me. But the problem was, Johnson, that I did not do my job, and I thought my job was to answer those questions that we as a community came up with to ask her, which had to do with passing questions to Roland Martin, CNN. I answered that like twice. Certain mysterious deaths that we were trying to figure out what they happened. I asked that question like 3 times. Wasn't good enough. Because what I realized, it was not the questions. It was that I was not mean enough to her. I did not disrespect her to the level that they wanted me to. Yeah, I was too nice to the black lady. Like, I should have been meaner to her. Because then is it acceptable. Because progressives have decided my value to the left, my value to this politics. And if they will fund me or support me or help my show grow or keep my kids living out of areas where gunfire is rampant, where the person-to-roach ratio is higher, or roach-to-person ratio is higher, it's all dependent on how well I do the bidding and destroy black people. So when I'm listening to Arabi, it's exactly what my experience is. Damn it, Arabi, have you been spying on me, bruh? Have you been spying on me? Have you been watching my career here? Have you been watching my business over the last 5 years? Because you're saying my shit, man. My entire value was wrapped to these people. Was not based in my ability to do this show, my ability to interact, my communication skills, my humor, my wits, my dope analogies. No, it was all about how well I destroyed black people and if I did an adequate job of going after them. It freed white people up from having to do it and run any risk of being labeled. I mean, there were people that it was so crazy. There were people that said, Tim, we don't like you. You gave her a pass. I wish Lee Camp would have interviewed her. Or I wish this person would have interviewed her. They did. They're the ones who gave me the fucking questions. That was when I realized it. It would still be years later before I really understood it and I really accepted where I was, because it was a dangerous business proposition to walk away from these people and walk away from this section and do your whole thing. I mean, I don't know, guys. Where's Melissa Harris Perry? I don't know. I'm not saying she's anywhere. I'm just saying I haven't heard from her lately. Like, usually when black people stand up for black people's shit, where is Tavis Smiley? I don't know. Like, there's a way of making black people go away when they want. When white people want black people to go away, they tend to go away. Black people can't make white people go away. So I had to make a decision, like, how upset are we going to be to black? And while you're making that decision, you got to remember, as you stay, there's a penalty for staying because, as Irony put it, in order to get rich, you have to be willing to throw or trash to treat black people like garbage. That is the rule. You cannot violate the rule. This is written in stone. They don't care how you feel about it. It's unspoken. Look what they did to me. Look at it. When I became a problem, who came for me? Black people. They were just doing their jobs. Another day at the office. This is what they do. That's their value to these people on the left. To independent media that's bigger than them. There's no escaping the reality of racism in America. And part of that racism in America that a lot of people don't realize is I want black people, I want all my black viewers, all my family, man, Johnson, I want you to understand this shit is how it is. You don't get to choose it. And this applies to you too. If you are successful, you will have to shit on black people. More and more. And your ability to shit on black people will determine your success level. And your inability to, or your refusal to, will determine your demise. Or talking against white people. They're the same. Get it? Like, refusing and going against white people is your demise in America. White people don't have that problem. White people don't have to agree with black people in order to survive, in order to eat. Just got to not say nigger in front of Walmart. You just have to be... White people, all they have to do is when they see somebody hold up a camera phone while they're being racist, all they got to do is shut the fuck up and they're good. And that's so hard to do for them. I've had to do that at work my entire life. For 30 years, I've had to go places and workplaces in hostile work environments. And to keep my job, I had to do the equivalent of shutting the fuck up when there's a camera phone present. They can't do it for 2 seconds. They can't do it for 90 seconds. Here's the other thing. Shout out to Irony. Here's another quote he had. The only way a mid-level black man becomes a high-level black man is kissing a lot of white ass. That's it. You may go into it thinking, like, I thought it was skills, talent, and of course a little racism. But then I went on a comedy tour. Lee Camp took me on a comedy tour. And I started getting just as many laughs, if not more laughs than Lee Camp. And then all of a sudden, I wasn't allowed on the comedy tour anymore. People say, I thought, maybe I get better at this comedy thing. So I'd be up nights studying and delving into this art form. I had a joke book, I had sets, I had material. But it's not like he's obligated to take me, but we did like 7 cities, and then after a while, I was like, okay, what happened? Then it was time to shoot a special. He just didn't call me. Like, what the fuck? And I know. So what I discovered, guys, is my material was too black. It was too supportive of black people. It was too black related. It was Tim Black. It was who I am. Like, I never had any confusion about who I was, but I was always cautious of and walking a thin line of how much black to be, which is also, again, something else that black people have to do all the time. If you're black, put a 1 in the comment section. Do you know, if you're black, have you learned the craft of how much of you to put out there and how much not to? That's a skill set. So when Irony says the only way a mid-level black becomes a high-level black is they have to kiss a lot of white ass, that's true. I could have modified my comedy. Talk more about Julian Assange. Talk more about Hillary. Talk more about these things. Instead, I'm talking about what it's like to be in Portland, Oregon, and a lot of white people give you weed. And getting arrested at the airport, probably, if I'm not careful. Because you know they're going to check my bag. Or people telling me there's no black people in Oregon when I get out of the airport. There's a black cabbie. I get in the cab. He's black. I'm like, yes, a brother. What's up, my brother? He turned around and he said, hello, my brother. How are you, my brother? Very nice here. I'm on studies. Like, oh. He black, but he not that black. You know what? That's not why you're there, Tim. You gotta say white shit. You better start talking about the Pentagon Papers. Like Carlin would do. In order to move up, you have to be willing to kiss white ass. And if you don't do that, you are a cautionary tale. That is what happens. So that is America. And that's what we deal with, all of us. When I say us, I mean black people, because white people don't deal with that. It's all this shit about reverse racism and critical race theory. It's that white kids are feeling bad for themselves. You mean white kids feel bad that their ancestors are slaveholders? Well, shit, wait till they find out that they were lynching people up into the 50s. Wait till they find out about discrimination all the way up into the 70s. Wait till they find out that redlining is still a thing. Wait till they find out mass incarceration is still a thing. Uh-oh. Fuck history. I'm talking about now. And it's our job to make them feel better. It's our job to swallow all the shit that's happened to us, to not let it affect us, not get upset about it. I mean, Samuel Jackson is famous. He's a famous actor. He's an incredible actor. But all he is an embodiment of angry blackness in a controlled environment for white people to accept it. That's his whole thing. That's all he ever was. An embodiment of black anger, frustration, and angst fused into a person, into human form, into one individual. And he just lets that out. He lets it out. And white people go, yay! That's all Samuel Jackson. It's just every black person in America who knows what the fuck is going on. I mean, and just to be a little bit more concrete here, when I read about Stacey Dash or Larry Elder or Candace Owens or any of the number of Republican sellouts, always in the back of my head I'm thinking, I understand why they did it. Because I do understand what they did. They made a decision that both parties suck Johnson and they wanted money. And white people make that decision every day. There are white Republicans, and white Democrats, and white progressives, and white conservatives, and white liberals, there's white everything. But black is always black. And in order to survive and in order to excel, they're doing their job of treating black people like garbage. Because that's the requirement over that side of the fence as well as it is on the Democratic side of the fence, on the liberal side. They're doing the same thing. Come on, make no mistake about it. When Mark Lamont Hill is caping like he don't have to fucking stand that black people are catching hell in America, and that there are these people coming with these pitchforks who want their 15 minutes of fame by shitting on black people and making a big stink about whatever the fuck, that those are still black people trying to navigate a system that's stacked against them. Mark Lamont Hill fucking knows that. He can't say that. He got to act high-minded. High-minded liberal shit. We see through it, though. All that's black, we see, we're like, what the fuck is he doing? But he can see Candace Owens' coonery. And spend the whole time going, but Candace. As if this is an intellectually honest debate they're having. Yeah, they had a debate or conversation. Candace was cooning like a motherfucker. And Mark Lamont Hill was sitting over there pretending that that's not what she's doing, like she's being intellectually honest. But if anybody was really being honest, we all know she's doing what she got to do. She's playing the rules. She's already threw black people in the garbage or treated them like garbage. Now she's trying to get to the elite level, and to be at the elite level, the advanced level, she now has to kiss even a lot more white ass. It's just got to be a whole lot of white asses, and she just got to kiss all the white ass. Because black people don't control this money. They don't control the upward mobility for Candace Owens or for Larry Elder or Alan West. It's just how far they could go. Same thing holds true for Donna Brazile. So at the meantime, while all this is going on, and while I'm old enough to understand it, while I'm experienced enough to understand it, while I've had to pick up paychecks and support kids and families and pay bills and have a black wife and black children who also have to understand it, something that none of these white people have to do, while being black at the same goddamn time. All this time, and gotta do these shows and talk about politics while knowing all this shit I know, having all this in my head at the same time. I still get the DM for somebody going, you should really check out this white person's opinion about this thing that you need help with because you don't get it. Where part of the reason why we're gonna see that differently, white person doing me a favor, is that I'm a black person with a whole different experience. And you've been lied to. See, I haven't been lied to. Nobody wastes time lying to me about you. No one lies to me about you. No one needs to. They don't give a fuck how I feel about you. I just better know that to step out of line. That's what the police are for. That's what the white lady meant when she was in Central Park and she said, I'm going to tell the police there's a black man that's here threatening me. That's what she knew. She didn't give a fuck how he felt. You're stepping out of line, nigger, and there's something we got for that. It's called cops. It doesn't work the other way. But we got a lot of white people that don't understand shit. Like they still, how many years, Johnson, has it been that white people have been saying black people getting a leg up, that black people sitting on the system, that black people are getting rewarded and they're eating off the system, they're not. How long has that been? Meanwhile, all you gotta do is crack a book and see the major beneficiary of affirmative action were white women. Like it's commonly fucking known. But still to this day, if I go on Facebook and I make a post about how America's been shitting on black people, you'll get a white conservative man or woman. And by the way, white women were one of the biggest proponents or opponents, were one of the biggest critics and opponents of affirmative action, were the white women who actually received more of the affirmative action. There are a lot more than 2% of white lawyers are white women. 2% of lawyers in major firms are black. Meanwhile, like 20% of white women are in major firms. Partner level. Then I do it 10% better or whatever the fuck than black people using the same mechanisms that they shitted on. And meanwhile, we got their husbands and some of them on these social media sites saying that we got over. But that's not how it worked out at all. Sort of like the New Deal where everyone said, we got over. Meanwhile, we got shit. And they got all the money. And then they still pointed at us because they got politicians, both Republican and Democrat, who say they're some welfare queens. So this is where we are. So you got all this in your head and you're still trying to navigate and deal with the world around you. Meanwhile, by trying to keep the roof overhead, meanwhile, by trying to run a business, meanwhile, by trying to fight for your people and trying to do all this at one time, doing all of this while you are black in America, it ain't easy. It's a challenge. And what makes that challenge a lot easier is if you just throw more black people under the bus and kiss more white ass, you'll be more successful at doing it. And I want to say this, and I want to be very clear about this. I don't know a black person. I don't know a black person. Because I get who felt that what Dave Chappelle said in his comedy special was trying to destroy black transgender people. I get DMs and mail from all types of black people. I have not gotten a single piece of black correspondence from a black person saying, I hate transgenders, Dave Chappelle should shit on them and should do this. I've gotten a single one. Also, I know as me as a black man who's grown up in this shit, and as a black person, the biggest black independent media on the left, at least that's what I was. I don't know what I am now. But not a single black person has called me or hit me up and said, like, we want transgender people to be heard. And that's sort of what the allegation is that somebody wants to hurt people. Like, we would be okay with that. Like, there are jokes about black people all the time. I never consider those jokes to be trying to hurt us and get us killed or get us wounded. I never looked at a D.L. Hughley joke about black people or a Bernie Mac joke about black people, as harsh as it was. It said, he wants us to get lynched, Johnson, or he wants us to be killed. And a lot of black people get killed too. A lot of black women get killed too. So that whole conversation went a lot of different places. But you couldn't even have an opinion about it because there was some white people that told me what my opinion should be. They did not give a fuck what my opinion was or how my community felt about it. Now, when black people go talk behind closed doors, we can have that conversation. But that was just a most obvious thing. Like, I never took it that way. If you heard a black transgender person, I'd fuck you up. Like, and if you use someone's jokes as ammunition to do that, look, who the fuck, what deranged person watches a comedy routine and goes out and hurts people? I'm not saying that's impossible, Johnson. But what I'm saying is that motherfucker was a deranged person before I watched that comedy special. Or he wouldn't have done that shit. He or she would have never done that shit unless they were already a deranged motherfucker. And those people can't be allowed around sharp objects any fucking way. Like the fact that those people exist, you get what I'm saying? That they exist in our shit where we can't like joke and talk or whatever, that there's some motherfucker that'll take what you say and use it as gasoline or as fuel to go hurt people. Motherfucker, that exists everywhere. When you think all the jokes about black people being lazy, shiftless, when you think about that, how much was that used to hurt us? I'm not saying we got it all figured out. What I'm saying is intentions gotta matter. Some people say intentions don't matter. But in this fucked up world of all this, everyone's got a platform. Everybody's talking. Everybody's saying shit. At the end of the day, people take your shit and do whatever they want to do with it. There'll be people that take you out of context and use your words, no matter how well you met them, to hurt people, regardless of who it is. Regardless of who you are. That's what people do. And that's not defending him. This is how I feel about it. And anybody who hurts anybody who preys on anyone, lock their ass up and throw away the fucking key. I don't care who they are. I just don't understand how people, I know that white people will never get this shit, ever, right? But if we wanted away from being lynched, dog, I don't care nothing about your anatomy. Who gives a fuck? Let's go. Grab that bottle of water and let's fucking go. I don't think we ever worried about that shit that much. We've been too busy focused on survival as a people. In a place, like I say, we're magical that we even survived this long. We're magical. Do you even know how you feel about shit? What I'm trying to say is, regardless of how you feel about it, and look, however people look at shit, however they look at it, it's right or wrong to you. That's up to you. But what I'm saying is, you should have the ability to feel how you feel about it and express how you feel about it without people saying, you a heinous motherfucker, trying to destroy your own people. For instance, guns. How a white person who's raised upper middle class or family has a business or whatever the fuck, how they feel about guns and how I feel about guns should be different. It should be different. Because I've lived places where guns are very, very fucking necessary and not to hunt food. I live places where the likelihood of being robbed or killed or raped were a lot higher than Susie Q or Dylan, okay? And those motherfuckers want to say I'm wrong to have, because they're always looking at shit from their white point of view. They don't look through shit through your point of view. And what I'm saying is, black people, don't be fooled into trying to look at your life through the lens of external lenses of people who don't relate to you. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Why are we allowed to have our own agency? Why are we allowed to have our own thoughts? They should not be controlled by other people's who are external from us, from our experiences, from our lives. Motherfucker, when I pull up in the hood, I always had a ritual. Say I got to pull over and go to a what you would call a bodega in New York, where you might be a little hole in the wall, little shop, market, deli, whatever the fuck. It's got plexiglass because it's been robbed a lot. Well, when I pull up and park, it's the way I jump out the car. I jump out the car like I know where I'm going somewhere. I jump out the car like I'm going somewhere with purpose. I jump out the car like I got an attitude. Just in case somebody's sitting in front of the joint, waiting for somebody to walk up who's slipping. They don't know who they are. They don't got to think I'm the baddest motherfucker ever. They just got to know I'm not a mark. They need to know I'm not a mark. They need to know that there's going to be a fight. And they rather not. Everyone wants the path of least resistance. So it's a different way I had to operate. Different way I had to communicate, to walk through life. So when Richard Pryor's talking about the white guy walking, hi, how are you? That's because he gets to. That's a privilege. And white people are watching it going, that's really funny the way he makes fun of white people when they're walking. No, it's great to walk that way. That means you're not worried about getting robbed. You're not worried about getting shot. You are privileged because you don't have to jump out your car like you got to go use the bathroom. And there are people in the way trying to stop you. Like, you can just walk. So, if you're a black person and you grew up like that, you know what the fuck I'm talking about, you should have a different response to the whole gun debate than Susie or Mary, who don't have that experience, who lived in New Hampshire. How the fuck are you both having the same response? How you both having the same viewpoint on it. Well, that's not your life, Johnson. That ain't how you came up. How many people did you lose to gun violence? How many people that you grew up with are dead from guns? How many are dead? How many of Susie's friends are dead from guns? Some people are talking in an abstract form, but we're talking about tangible, real shit where people are dead because they got shot coming home, or dead outside of a club, or dead inside the club. You get what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, I started looking at these things and saying, damn it, dog. Are we ourselves? Are we being controlled by these parties and these systems and these people with these labels are telling us what we ought to think and what we ought to believe? And it's one thing to have to follow that shit when you're at work. But I got people doing it when they're not at work. I got people doing it when they're on their free time on fucking social media. They're pretending to be something they're fucking not. And they're going by this list, as Ira put it. I treat black people like garbage in order to fit in order to exceed or succeed. Because they know who holds the power, who holds the money, who holds the opportunity, and who can cut off the money faucet, who can cut off the possibility of earning money, the possibility of the money faucet. All that shit. I'm not saying you wouldn't come to the same conclusions at some point. Maybe you would come to the same conclusion about gun control or about Chappelle's jokes or about Brian Laundrie. They just found this guy in the fucking fields or whatever, right? In the forest. He killed himself a long time ago. They were still out looking for him and interviewing people. This guy probably made his mind up a week after. I mean, this motherfucker never talked to the cops about his girlfriend, his fiance who never came back home. Not only did he not talk to the cops, his parents never talked to the cops. His ass should have been in jail immediately. Can you imagine Jerome? Can you imagine Tim Black coming back without Mrs. Black and being like, I don't got nothing to say? And I caught a domestic charge while we were out. I don't even want to think about how long I'd be in jail. While they sorted out, just in case. They found his body. And how you're supposed to feel about that is based on life experience. It's based on 10 and 2 when the cops pull up. Black person who now all of a sudden is sort of like don't understand these things, that there's a difference. So, I got different feelings about the jab. Like we talk about the jab, right? I got different feelings about it. Now, I got the jab, but I got it back when people who had the jab weren't dying. Like there had been no reports. Like remember when the first jab first came out? And all I heard about, or all we heard about, is people were dying who didn't have it. That we were trying to get this thing that would save our lives. That's what we were being told. Well, if you went this long without one, you really can't understand why people might not get it, black person. I mean, remember, I grew up in a time, I'm raised by parents who didn't hear about the Tuskegee experiment. They knew about it. It was in their jet and in their fucking ebony. Like, these are real things. We got people who don't have that experience telling us how to feel about some shit we intimately understand. That we have firm placeholders for understanding and feeling a certain way that we feel. And we should not have to apologize for that. But you get what I'm saying? Like, people are talking amongst themselves and they don't fucking understand. And it's one thing if you white and that's not your people that were experimented upon, right? If it was your people that they gave placebos to and watched them die just to see how the disease progressed in them. Like if you grew up hearing about that shit for people who lived when this shit happened, it's very understandable. You might have a different reflexive response to this whole jab thing. But when I'm hearing these motherfuckers talk on TV, these paid people, these people who the only way to go from mid-level black man to high-level black man is to kiss a lot of white ass, or the only way, in order to get rich, you got to be willing to throw a lot of black people or treat a lot of black people like garbage, right? Act like they don't under-fucking-stand shit about people being hesitant. Now, I know there's white people hesitant. That's some crazy shit, so white people hesitant. But I know why black people hesitant. Well, I know the black people that have been raised by black parents who grew up in a certain time in America who are intimately acquainted to this shit. Intimately acquainted with this shit being real. People whose parents were here when Emmett Till was buried. People who were here when Martin Luther King was assassinated. Malcolm X assassinated. Medgar Evers assassinated. Freedom Riders assassinated. On the bus, dead, all of them. Fred Hampton assassinated. People that actually grew up during that time. And how the hell do these people, these white people who didn't have that experience, these black people, grew up with people that had that experience, how they got the same fucking opinion if everybody ain't bought paid off? Dog. If you're afraid of dogs, because, you got a problem with Doberman pictures, right? Because where I grew up, Dobermans, for some reason, Dobermans were the meanest dogs, right? If you ever been bit by a Doberman, I understand why you might be afraid of dogs. Like, that's a logical thing. You've been bit by a Doberman. You've been bit by a dog, you get it. It's nothing like a reminder, like some teeth marks on your ass or on your calf muscle. You get what I'm saying? But we got people that weren't bit by dogs telling you, why the fuck are you so afraid of dogs? What's wrong with you? Why are you afraid of dogs? They never been bit by a fucking dog. And we got you going along with them and shitting on people that got bit by dogs like you. Make this shit make sense. It's like surviving a near drowning incident and not surviving a near drowning incident. And letting the person who's never had an incident of drowning or a near fatal experience in the water tell you how to feel about fucking water, going to the ocean, or being on a boat, or jumping into deep water. And then you not only agreeing with them to keep your money right, you get on your podium or your platform and shit on other survivors of near-fatal incidents in the water. And act like you don't even understand. Do you understand what's happening? And what I'm trying to tell you is that goes on. That's being black in America. And it's all done because to move to one level to the next level, you have to kiss a lot of white ass. And if you want to be rich, you got to treat a lot of black people like garbage. Shout out to Arami, or Irami. Damn, I had your name right the whole time. Shout out to Irami. I highly recommend his work. I highly recommend his work because he's one of the few people, and I've been around, man. He's one of the few people that I feel like I can talk to him about anything, and he don't give a fuck. He's going to tell you exactly how he feels about it. He doesn't care if it's popular or whatever. He's going to tell you how he feels. And I'm going to tell you, that is rare. That shit is rare. And I know what it is. He don't report to nobody. Like me, he does not report to nobody. He has no person going to cut off his money faucet. He's a free fucking man. And I'm free. And if you are free, because see, being free is dangerous to people who aren't free. Because when you're free, you're liable to say anything. You're liable to say any goddamn thing. That makes you a threat to people who aren't free. They can have you around, saying any damn thing, putting them in jeopardy, putting their money in jeopardy, putting their and we want to call it buttermilk biscuits and we make these jokes. Trying to put their method of survival in jeopardy. When they're playing by the rules that America gave them. I don't agree with those rules, obviously. I think those rules are shit. And I think it's better to be mid-level or lower and be free than it is to move up and have no soul and to kiss all that white ass and to deny your own existence. I mean, it's one thing to deny some shit, but to deny yourself, your own experiences, to deny reality for your own life? No one asks white people to do that shit. No one would ask a white person to deny themselves, to nullify their own experiences in America, in the world. We got black people doing that shit every day for a paycheck, dog. Now, you may have to put on a shirt and tie if you don't really feel like it. You may have to chat it up with Brad at the cocktail party, who's annoying as fuck. But you don't have to deny who you are as a human being to do this shit. You don't have to deny your experiences, your life, how you were raised. Just the fact we were raised, most black people were raised in the church. This society don't get that shit. And they don't even think about the fact that, by and large, black people used the church to survive slavery, and Jim Crow gave them a soft place to reflect upon, an opportunity to move, like go in a different realm. That God would give them the spirit that white people didn't necessarily need to survive. They just need a hookup or a GI Bill or a Homestead Act, some acreage, a union. Diversity and minority don't mean black, so stop saying it does. It's a lot of minorities. Stop acting like you're doing something when you say minority. You're talking about like a lot of people. So shut your ass up, dog. It's a damn shame not to have agency over your own person, your own personhood. Take that back. Be you. Be real with yourself. It's one thing to be a liar, another thing to lie to yourself. One's bad, one's worse. Motherfuckers living lies. Whatever the cost or whatever the payment, it ain't gonna be enough. Cut the check! People are owed reparations. Reparations now. All my Johnsons. Wolfpack. Big K.
Ayo, wait, hold up, pause, no debate, no applause. Tired of the wait, man, we need a revolution, but you can't to debate. We be down for the cause. I be laid on a sauce, keep us down for the cause. Fuck up, round, get a public execution. Better wise up, hold up, fuck it, pause. Pause like 10 black, overwhelmed, but I gotta get my wits checked. We be preaching to the quiet like a hymn track, but we gotta make a dent, get the rich back. Laying in the street, we got brothers that overdosing, trying to help the poor with their handicap and emotion. Both parties suck, take a minute and let it soak in. They don't give a fuck, they be locking you up for smoking. Both parties suck, Johnson, what they serving up, it's a lace concoction. Spit it in a face, Johnson, what the fuck you do with a snake when you boxing? Wanna fall in line with the face is an option. I'ma stand for mine, I'ma ride with my conscience. If you want the right, I'd advise you with caution. When they get the chance, so you out like an auction. Fucked in, like control that position. Cunts on the boat and they roll that position. Top down, yeah, I'm sold on the mission. I ain't bringing coast, I'm searching for friction. Apologists faking these raps, give me conniptions. They be out here serving their donuts like a religion. Calling out these blasphemous promises, my addiction. They ain't got no soul, yeah, they sold it out for a pension. Wait, hold up, pause, no debate, no applause. Tired of the wait, man, we need a revolution, but you can't to debate. We be down for the cause. I be laid on a sauce, keep us down for the cause. Fuck up, round, get a public execution. Better wise up, hold up, fuck it, pause. Ayo, time. Fuck conservative, run on McDonald. Clean, but you look and you sound like you off at the bottle. White boy dress for the follow. You can see through the grip, so you need to let off of the throttle. Drop the right, we beside, let us have us a top. Be a man, we can walk through the basics. You ain't getting shot, just talking about race. Motherfucker, you get shot for being racist. Yo, say you spitting facts, you clearly be in your feelings. Quoting Ben Shapiro, what else the fuck you conceal? See, we didn't free the slaves, and you acting like we the same. Like resigning effects, same thing, you fucking idiot. Right-wing frauds really made me belligerent. Educate America, overcoming the ignorance. Big homie black, show you bitches the difference. They outsource the jobs, blaming it on the immigrants. Bro for initiative, hold the line with the wolf pack. Giving me a shot, I blow through him like I'm a fullback. Riding from inside the center, where your soul at. Can't distract flies, cause homie be full of bullcrap. ACIB, yeah, I'm bending the law. Yeah, the system is broke. If you need this and ours, need divine intervention. Need it fixed by the gods, hold up, I'ma need to catch my breath. Pause. Wait, hold up, pause. No debate, no applause. Tired of the wait, man, we need a revolution, but you came to debate. We be down for the cause. I be laid on a sauce, keep us down for the cause. Fuck up, round, get a public execution. Better wise up, hold up, fuck it, pause.